Here is a number that should stop you cold. $55,000. That is the exact amount a high-income earner silently loses over 20 years by misunderstanding why wealthy people actually use credit cards. And no, it has nothing to do with airline miles, cash back, or lounge access. Everyone thinks rich people use credit cards for the rewards. That is the decoy. The real game is invisible. It costs nothing, and it is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Let me show you exactly how it works. Walk into any conversation about credit cards, and someone will bring up the 2% cash back card. Smart, right? You spend money anyway, so why not get something back? That logic is not wrong. It is just dangerously incomplete. The rewards are designed to keep your attention on small wins, while the real wealth move happens in the background, completely off your radar. Think about the numbers for a second. If you spend $50,000 a year on a 2% cash back card, you get $1,000 back. That feels good. It is real money. But what if the way you use that card is simultaneously costing you 3, 4, or even 5 times that amount somewhere else? That is exactly what is happening for most cardholders, and they never connect the dots. Here is the thing most financial content will never tell you. Credit cards are not a rewards vehicle. They are a credit-building machine. And the architecture you build with them, your score, your utilization ratio, your credit history depth, is the lever that unlocks the biggest financial transactions of your life. This is the real game the wealthy are playing. And in just a minute, I will show you the one mechanism that turns this whole thing upside down. It is the number that will completely reframe every credit card decision you have ever made. So stay with me. Let us talk about the rewards trap, because it is more insidious than it looks. When you focus on maximizing points, you optimize for the wrong thing. You pick cards based on sign-up bonuses. You shift spending to hit category thresholds. You open and close cards chasing introductory offers. Each of those behaviors feels smart in isolation. Together, they are silently destroying the thing that actually matters. Every time you open a new card just for a bonus, your average account age drops. Every time your utilization spikes above 20% mid-cycle, your score takes a hit, even if you pay in full. Every hard inquiry from a new application shaves points off your profile. The rewards industry has trained you to play a game that actively works against your credit architecture. And here is what is brutal about it. The people who win the rewards game the hardest are often the ones with the most fragmented, volatile credit profiles. They have 12 cards, 700 points, and wonder why their mortgage rate quote is a full percent higher than their neighbors. The utilization myth is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal finance. Most people believe that keeping your balance under 30% of your credit limit is responsible. That is what the internet says. That is what the bank brochures imply. But wealthy people who understand credit architecture know that 30% is not the target. It is the floor of mediocrity. The real target is 1 to 5% reported utilization. Not paid utilization. Reported utilization? That is the balance that appears on your statement before you pay it. If your card reports a $5,000 balance on a $10,000 limit, your utilization is 50% for that scoring cycle, even if you pay it to zero the next day. This is a timing game, and most people are losing it without knowing it exists. Now let us talk about credit line stacking, because this is where discipline creates structural wealth. Wealthy cardholders do not just have 1 or 2 cards. They have a diversified portfolio of credit lines, a premium travel card, a business card, a no-fee everyday card, each serving a specific architectural purpose. The combined available credit is large. The reported balances are tiny. The result is a utilization ratio that sits near zero across the entire profile. That low utilization, sustained consistently over 12 to 24 months, is one of the most powerful signals you can send to a credit scoring algorithm. Before we get to the math at the end, the calculation that most people never see, here is what happens when you ignore all of this. The average American has a credit score somewhere between 600 and 740. That range sounds fine. It gets you approved. But approved is not the same as optimal, and in high-stakes financial transactions, the gap between those two words is measured in tens of thousands of dollars. Now we hit the turning point, and this is the moment the entire game flips. A perfect 850 credit score, built through deliberate card strategy over 18 to 36 months, unlocks mortgage and business loan rates that are 0.5 to 1% lower than what the average applicant receives. That does not sound dramatic until you run the math on real transaction sizes. On a $400,000 business loan, a 1% rate difference is $4,000 every single year. On a $500,000 mortgage, the compounding effect over 20 years is not a rounding error. It is a car, a college fund, a decade of vacations. The scoring algorithm is not subjective. It is a machine, and you can learn its inputs. Wealthy people have learned to speak its language fluently. Let us break down the exact mechanics of what wealthy cardholders actually do. First, they never let a balance report above 5% of any individual card's limit. They pay strategically before the statement closing date, not the due date. The closing date is when the balance gets reported to the bureaus. Pay before that date, and your reported utilization stays near zero. This single habit, practiced consistently, can be worth 40 to 60 scoring points over 12 months. Second, they keep their oldest accounts open always. The age of your oldest account and the average age of all accounts together make up 15% of your FICO score. Closing a card you do not use to simplify your wallet is one of the most expensive mistakes a high earner can make. That card is an anchor for your credit history. Let it sit with a small recurring charge, a streaming service, a utility, so it stays active and never gets closed by the issuer. Third, they time new card applications deliberately, not impulsively. When a wealthy person applies for a new card, it is because they have done the math on how it affects their overall utilization ratio. If they already have $80,000 in available credit and they add a $20,000 card, their ratio math just got better, even if they take the hard inquiry hit. They plan 12 to 18 months ahead, not 6 weeks ahead. Here is something that most people genuinely do not know. The relationship between credit card behavior and business lending is tighter than almost any financial advisor will tell you. When you apply for a small business loan, commercial real estate financing, or even a high-value personal loan, lenders pull your personal credit profile as part of the underwriting process. A score above 800 signals something specific to an underwriter. This borrower is disciplined with revolving credit, they do not overextend, and their behavior pattern under pressure is stable. That signal alone can move you from standard pricing to preferred pricing. On a $1 million commercial deal, preferred pricing at 0.5% lower is $5,000 annually, $50,000 over 10 years. Now let us look at the data on credit score distribution, because the visual here is important. Most Americans cluster between 600 and 750. Only about 20% of Americans have a score above 800. Only about 1% hit 850. The gap between where most people are and where the rate advantages begin is not a function of income. It is a function of behavior. High-income earners with bad credit habits pay premium rates. Moderate-income earners with excellent credit architecture get preferred rates. The score does not care what your salary is. It cares how you manage the revolving credit you have been given. And now, the climax. This is the number the hook promised you. A $500,000 mortgage at 6.5%, the rate that a 760 credit score typically qualifies for, costs $3,186 per month. That same loan at 5.9%, the rate available to an 800-plus borrower who built their score deliberately through card strategy, costs $2,992 per month. The difference is $194 every single month. Over 20 years, that is $46,560 in your pocket, not the bank's. Add in the business loan advantages, the auto financing differentials, the investment property rates, and the cumulative gap between a 760 and an 810 score is easily $55,000 to $200,000 over a 20-year wealth-building window. That is the real reward, not the airline miles. Here is what you do this week, not someday, this week. Step 1. Log into your credit card accounts and find the statement closing date for each card. That is different from the due date. Set a calendar reminder to pay your balance down before that date every single month. Step 2. Pull your credit report and audit your utilization on each individual card. If any card is above 5% reported utilization, that is your highest priority target. Step 3. If you have strong payment history and you have not opened a new account in the last 12 months, consider adding one strategic card to increase your total available credit, which mechanically lowers your overall utilization ratio. Do not pick it based on the sign-up bonus. Pick it based on the credit limit it offers relative to your current profile. Step 4. Set every card to autopay the full statement balance, not the minimum, the full balance. This eliminates interest, protects your payment history, and ensures you are building credit architecture, not credit debt. The scoring algorithm will begin reflecting these changes within 60 to 90 days. Compounded over 18 months, this is the foundation of a borrowing profile that lenders compete to win. The wealthy are not smarter than you. They are not luckier. They are playing a different game with the same cards, literally. Now you know the game. The question is, are you going to keep optimizing for 1% cash back, or are you going to optimize for $55,000? Drop your current credit score in the comments. I want to see where you are starting from, and tell me what your biggest credit card mistake has been. If this video reframed how you think about credit, subscribe, because the next video breaks down exactly how wealthy people use business credit to access capital that never touches their personal income.